another thing that I wanted to talk about is LaTocha Scott. LaTocha Scott, okay, blames Mona Scott Young and co for misrepresentation. And co, I have to say and co, for misrepresentation. Okay. She is upset. She feels like Mona Scott Young misrepresented him, and Mona Scott Young came to them with an idea, made them believe that the show was going to be about unity.
The question is, will you do another? Is there going to be a part 2 of this reality show?
It's not going to be part 2 for me.
You're not.
No, I mean, when you come and you say 2 supergroups are going to be celebrated and it does not end that way, like you got everybody beefing on social media. The nerve of a black production company with Mona Me coming in and not celebrating black women. It's just tearing down. And the whole time, out of 7 women, I was being attacked every single day. So it's just that thing for me. Like when you say you're going to do something, we should be able to do it. And I think the fans have been slighted, you know, and shame on her. Shame on the production for doing that. We didn't get to a tour. We didn't get to music. So what do we do? What's the end goal? Like, what are we doing here?
Did you guys film those scenes? Because, you know, for me, I'm be honest, I have been approached for reality TV so many times, and I've always declined because I know what it is. Yeah. Like, I feel like we kind of know when you do reality TV, they're going to show the worst of you and not the best of you. So when you went in, were you not thinking they were going to try to find mess? Because that's what reality TV is.
Yeah, but we, at the end of the day, we had already gone through the worst of the times with the first still kicking it.
Okay.
So we were getting past that. Did I have reservations? Of course I did. But when she started to say, hey, we're going to celebrate y'all going to do a tour, we're going to talk about how you know, do a show, how you got to do the wardrobe and the music, I'm like, that's beautiful. Because sometimes you do have banter back and forth with that. But when you come in and I'm being attacked every day and it never got to the music, it's like, what was this all about? And none of the things that happened until we started filming. None of the craziness. So it's like, was it a setup? What do we do this for?
I like this run for you because it's all about you.
Yeah.
But the Xscape fan of me still wants to know you're a part of Xscape.
I'm definitely a part of Xscape. I created the name. That's the mothership. That's where I come from. I will never forget where I come from. But it's time for me to do music. I've always wanted to do music. I know Kandi didn't want to do music because she always felt like if we didn't surpass what we did in the beginning, then don't do it. But when I'm doing music, it's never predicated on sales. It's because I'm passionate about what I do. So the other girls was like, no, we, you know, don't fall victim to what she's saying. I want to do music. So that's why I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, Mona Scott Young had to use the proper words to sell you the car. You are not going to buy the car if they let you know that every now and again, there's going to be a pop noise that you may hear. You know, maybe not every day, but there may be like once a week, you may hear this pop noise in this car, or every 3 days, you may hear this pop noise. They're not going to tell you that. But what they are going to sell you with is that they have the best auto mechanics available. So when you buy this beautiful car with nothing wrong with it, when you buy it and anything happens to it, especially within the next days, you'll be able to bring this car in and we'll fully work on it, see what's wrong with it, diagnose it, give you a great discount, blah, 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 blah. They're not going to tell you the flaws, and the damn show, if they do, ain't going to tell you up front. I think also you need to know that if you're going to go to a used dealership, a used car dealership, then there is a sense of there's going to be something wrong with this car. So automatically know that already. No, I think that Tasha and anybody joining this show already kind of had an inkling that some bull was going to be coming with this show, that there was going to be some BS with this show. You talk about unity and getting together. SWV and Salt and Pepper had a show together. Salt and Pepper been out way before SWV, and SWV and Salt and Pepper couldn't even get together who was going to headline the show, who was going to open up the show, who was going to close the show. They could not get along, Salt and Pepper and SWV, and they're all from New York, and they all was bumping heads, and they were all being headstrong, like whatever. But just what I do say, I say, at what point does Andy Cohen and Mona Scott Young feel like, damn, just let me chill? Maybe I am exploiting them too much. Maybe I am making them look crazy on TV, or not making them, but, you know, I'm kind of setting the pathway up to make it, you know, impossible to say no to this deal that I'm giving you and this contract that I set before you. Andy Cohen and Mona, at what point do they feel like they need to give caution before a person signs? Let them know the bad parts that come with it. I mean, I think that Andy and Mona has made enough money to be able to let these stars know so that their ass is covered, because there's going to be a time where we're going to be so culturally fixed that I think that we're going to end up saying, these shows, Andy Cohen and Mona Scott Young exploited these people, and we need to boycott this. I think it's going to come a time where Zeus and all these shows that that put out this stereotypical thing about black people without a solution to it. I think all those type of shows are going to be ended, and they're going to be stopped. They're going to be cut off by the knees. And Andy Cohen, all these people are going to be really shocked when they stop a lot of these shows, or people start boycotting these shows. But at the same time, I say, at what point do these people stop and not sign up? Because I think that Mona, Carlos King, Andy Cohen, and Oprah, and whoever does reality TV for black people, or for white people for that matter, I think that even after they throw caution to the wind, or caution and say, you know what, this is what may arise if you take this deal. This is the good, here's the bad, the pros and the cons. I think that the person signing the contract, I think a lot of times they're so desperate to become famous. A lot of times, I didn't say every time, but a lot of times they're so desperate to become famous and so desperate to have some money and have something that they end up, I feel like they end up just signing the deal. It's like, okay, yeah, you're telling me that something's bad's gonna happen, or that some bad publicity could happen because I may say something that may get me canceled, whatever. I want to make sure I watch myself. And I think that even with caution, they will still sign a bad contract, a contract that may later have them shaving their head or going crazy because they have exposed so much of their lives for a small check that's probably gonna get gone in no time. Anyway, I do question myself with that. But I also, once again, I go back to Andy Cohen and Mona Scott Young. The person signing the contract is stupid for keep signing these contracts. But then we go back to Mona Scott Young and Andy Cohen, and we say, damn, because they do shit like what Andy Cohen is doing. He knows that he has renewed Quad's contract to come back to Married to Medicine. And even if he didn't, why not renew her contract and bring her husband back on the show with his new fiance? That's as if you do not care about my mental state. Or maybe, we don't know, maybe Andy asked Quad first, but I highly doubt it. And Andy and Carlos King has no room to talk because he would do the same thing. Andy and him get their producing style is the same. I think Andy producing style, I think Carlos King producing style is the same as Andy's producing style, because that's where he comes from. That's where his career seemed like it really took off. He probably was producing stuff before then, but getting on Housewives really shaped and molded who we know Carlos King to be today. So his style of producing may be off of Andy. And I say that Oprah would do the same thing as well. Mona Scott Young, of course, we know she does that. She will bring an ex or a person, a mistress on the show and still kiss up to Rashida like she just loves Rashida, you're the queen of the show. But you sit here and don't give me a heads up that Jasmine is coming to throw a pie in my face and let us know that she's pregnant. Somebody knew on Love and Hip Hop because they mic'd her up. They let her know where we was and everything. So somebody knew. And it's just like, damn, Andy, you would bring Dr. G's new wife, his fiance, on the show, knowing Quad is on the show, or knowing you about to kick her off the show. Even if he kicked her off the show and brought Dr. G and his new wife onto the show, why kick Quad off the show to bring Dr. G and his ex-wife? And she don't look nothing like Quad. She is bad on the eyes. I'm sorry. She might got a nice body. I don't know about all that, but her face is not easy to look at. Okay, she's not a pretty woman to me. Ain't nothing pretty about her, for real. But from my understanding, allegedly, Quad is gone, and allegedly Dr. G and his wife is coming back to the show, and his new wife. But supposedly Quad has walked away from the show, and I commend Quad if she felt like, I'm not gonna do this. She should be sending Andy a text message like, at what point do y'all feel like it's taking it too far? At what point do y'all act like y'all give a fuck about my mental state or my sanity that you would bring my ex-husband, who I had such a horrible divorce with, and his new fiance? Is like, we already know where this is gonna go. You know what I'm saying? It makes you feel like Funky Dineva. He does not review these shows anymore because the outcome is constantly the same. The review has become the same, and Funky probably rewatched himself and noticed that year after year he was giving the same type of review, maybe not the same words, but the same type of review, the same type of criticism, and nothing was changing. You know, it begins to come off as boring or scripted and boring. You know what I'm saying? But it is also reality. It is reality on the other hand. So if cameras were not here, would this lady, Dr. G's wife or new wife, be in close proximity with Quad? I don't think so, because Quad would be able to leave. But when you give me a contract that is hard to say no to, then I'm contracted to film with this lady. But in real life, I wouldn't. So I understand Funky, and I get why he don't want to review these shows, and I get why Quad will walk away from the show if she was contracted to stay on the show this season, but she is in fact walking away from the show. I totally commend her, and I give her applause. I stand and I applaud her, because that's a backbone to say I'm walking away from Bravo, because we know that walking away from Bravo means that you may not be able to return unless you are so a hot commodity that they can't replace you with anyone else. And if they did, it would not be as impactful as it would be with you being on the show, i.e. Porsha. Andy would love to have Porsha back. She could come back any day and time, but Porsha chooses not to come back right now. Porsha is valuable. Her and Kandi are valuable, and Nene was valuable. But what happened is she allowed them, like Funky had said before, she allowed them to realize that we don't have to have you actually. We could pay 3 other girls who will bring drama with the OG girls and irritate the shit out of them and make them turn into the Nene that Nene was before she left. Anyway, I get it though. At some point, someone has to unparticipate. Someone has to unparticipate. And to me, if it was me, I would just walk away from it. That's why I always felt like Nene was full of shit. Nene was calling them all kind of racist stuff, racist this, racist that. You was not saying that shit when you were there. You didn't say that shit until you got chastised or put away or cast it out, or they acting like, you know what, we really don't need you. Now all of a sudden, racism. I highly doubt they'll ever let Nene come back after a rumor or an allegation like that. I think that Nene would have to do a public apology, and Nene is too prideful and too big-headed to do a public apology to Andy Cohen and Bravo and let them know that she was absolutely wrong and out of line for calling them racist. Even if they was, you should have been said it to them. And you ain't got no support backing you up. We need to see a slew of women backing you up. But now that you said that and you didn't have your ducks in a row, they're going to make sure they got theirs in a row. And every black woman on Bravo is going to be treated so well now that Nene has come up with that allegation that she was not able to support. As we know, she dropped her lawsuit. She wasn't able to support the allegation. And Nene fucked up big time. Anyway, I say, you know, at what point do the person signing the contract say I'm not going to do it? And at what point does the producers and creators of these shows give a warning or a caution sign letting them know what the outcome could be if you sign this contract and do this show? Anyway,